Okay. So let's see how this works. This is this is just way too complicated. This is way too complicated. Oh God. So can everyone hear me now? Hear and see what I'm presenting. Okay, that's great. This is actually working. This is working. So I wanted to do a part two for the rest of this video. I did a part one that just dropped today, and I want to do a part two of the rest of this. And again, the reason we're doing this, we're reviewing this video with from YouTuber Life with Melanie, how conservative men trap feminist women in relationships, is for you to understand the male mindset. Okay? Because once you understand their mindset, right, it means you would have understood what is causing that mindset. And then you would have been able to understand what the solution is so that all these problems stop once and for all. Right? And right now, Life with Melanie and all the creators that she stitched together, they're getting it just a little bit off kilter. Right? They're seeing what the surface causes are, what the surface problems are, but they're not getting to the root origin cause of the problem. They're not getting to the root cause of the problem. So it is very, very imperative that we all understand what the absolute root of it is. Because otherwise we could never solve it. It would be CSI cannot solve it. That was a joke from Jina Yashiri. Cannot solve it because we do not have the problem correct. Because we keep thinking that the problem is not the problem. We keep thinking that the problem is something else that is not the problem. So let's continue.
Who put the pretty bird in a cage and
I'm sorry, I still have to do my equipment check here. Okay, and I think that was my final equipment check just to make sure everything is working correctly. Because man, this live is killing me. So, not that everything is working, I just wanted to make sure that you guys can hear what the video is saying, because in the first broadcast, so many issues, and the video, and part of that was that the video was not even visible, even though you could hear it. So now you could both hear it and it is visible. So let's go on.
On top of that, they also want the emotional benefits of having a liberal partner over a conservative partner. Like, they want the woman to be the type where it's like, oh, the man have restricted every single thing you loved about yourself. I've taken away your artwork, your creativity, your personal space, your personal time. I've taken all of these things, but now I'm really sad. So I want you to listen to me and my problems because no one ever listens to me. It's the same shit. They want a pretty bird in a bird cage that will clean their house, do their laundry, and listen to their hard day at work.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about dating and politics. So during the last US elections, I saw a couple of posts about women leaving their relationships because their partners voted for Trump. And there was a lot of discourse about whether or not these women are overreacting. And some say it's not that big of a deal and certainly not something worth breaking up over. And then there came talks of conservative men being a political catfish by lying about their political views and personal values. For some of these men, my guess is that some of them can't attract the conservative women.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you joining.
They desire, so they lie to better their chances with the opposite sex. And I think that for some, they are looking for a liberal woman so he can mold her and somehow convince her that she needs to give up her values for his. And there is a very deeply uncomfortable but a very real pattern in a lot of what happens during dating, and it is men pursuing women that they aren't fully attracted to, women whose interests or lifestyles they don't agree with, or women they secretly resent, all because they believe that they can change her once she's emotionally invested. And this isn't something new. It didn't start with social media, but social media has definitely made this louder. There are men who choose a woman not because they love her as she is, but because they see her as a project. She becomes a blank slate that they can shape, they can correct, or they can quote unquote improve according to their preferences. At first, the relationship feels
Let's
nice,
pause
he's
that
attentive.
right there. Life with Melanie said something. She becomes a blank slate for them to manipulate and what?
But because they see her as a project, because they believe that they can change her once she's emotionally invested. And this isn't something new. It didn't start with social media, but social media has definitely made this louder. There are men who choose a woman not because they love her as she is, but because they see her as a project. She becomes a blank slate that they can shape, they can correct, or they can.
Yes, this is 100% correct. This is 100% correct. But Life with Melanie, she's missing the why, right? Because she's still speaking. Because if you understand what the why is, the rage that will be in you, that is what reflects in me every goddamn time I speak about this. Because I want to speak like a professional. I desperately want to speak with calm and dignity. But every time I talk about this, the rage reaches down into my very soul because I understand what these males are doing. And she doesn't understand why this is happening because what they are displaying here, that is not a human ability. That is not a human ability. A human being is supposed to accept you for what you are and guide you honestly to what is best for you. And all of these things that they are doing, they are guiding you in only what is best for them. Because we do come as a blank slate to a certain degree, right? We do come as a blank slate. But you're supposed to get the guidance from your mother and your mother having your best interest at heart because she is not your predator. She would guide you to what is actually best for you, even when it is not best for her. Do you understand? But males can never do that because they are predators. And the only way they can be predators, they can be your predators, Not the way, not that they can, not that the only way that they can be predators, but the only way they can be our predators is because they are not our species. Why? Because a species cannot prey on itself. And the reason a species cannot prey on itself is because of survival. If you are preying on yourself, where is the line? Why wouldn't you just eat yourself up if you're going to prey on yourself as a species? Why wouldn't you eat yourself? Where would the line be? This is one of the reasons why a species do not prey on themselves. The reason why you've heard of cannibalism and it made you sick. It made you sick to your stomach to think there are people eating people. And surprise, every single iteration of that has been males. Every single iteration of males of cannibalism has been from males eating people because they do not see themselves as human. So they are not practicing cannibalism. They were not practicing cannibalism because cannibalism is a predatory behavior and self-predation is abominative to nature. The only way this dynamic can occur is that they somehow got a hold of our genes. And now they co-opted our genes so that now it gives them a disguise so that they can appear like us as though wolves in sheep's clothing. And the only reason for you, the only way you can get somebody, another species' genes, is that you are such a species that have made your survival, right? Made your survival abilities around being able to use other organisms. And in order for you to do that, you have to access the very cellular machinery that keeps them alive so that it can keep you alive. That means you have to be an infectious organism. That is the only way. Every infectious organisms are the ones that don't have most of them, some of them do, most of them do not have the skin barrier that protects that blocks them from being able to access other organisms' genes. They have to have like these tentacles. Like if you look at the virus, right? If you look at the virus organism, it has a capsule and then it has like this little, this little leg thing, skinny legs, right? That look like, long spider legs, like misshapen long spider legs, misshapen in how they're longer than the actual spiders, right? That's how viruses do it. And other organisms, other infectious organisms, they have their own way of doing it. But every single one of them, they have a way to penetrate you, right? And that is what our skin barrier is preventing the males from doing so that they can just climb onto you. And that is why they hate us, because it is our skin that is preventing them. It is holding them back, right? So they look at us and look at their skin and blame us for the skin, for that stupid ass skin that is keeping them from being themselves. Our skin is keeping them from being themselves and also protecting us from them invading us. So who else are they going to blame? It is the quintessential, you're mad at something and the person in front of you is who is going to get that, that anger from you. Because that is the only thing, that is the only outlet that you have. That is the only outlet that you have. And that's exactly why they hate us. Every time they see us and they can't just clamp onto us and attach to us, right? They despise us. They despise They despise our species for having that horrible skin that protects us.
Can quote unquote improve according to their preferences. At first, the relationship feels nice, he's attentive, he's persistent, he's really into her, but beneath all of that attention is a desire to mold her and not to actually love her. Like when a man who claims that he doesn't like women who wear makeup, yet he actively chases a woman whose eyeliner is so obvious and she's always in lipstick, you know, like a man who says he prefers natural hair, but he dates women with braids or wigs or like colorful hairstyles, only to spend the relationship criticizing every style that she chooses. A conservative man who deliberately seeks out a liberal or a feminist woman who's loudly a feminist woman, not because he appreciates her views, not because he agrees with her views, but because he fantasizes about being the one to break her spirit or her politics or her independence. A man who says that he wants a fit woman, then he dates someone who's curvy or plus size and spends the entire relationship trying to turn her into like his personal fitness project. And in every scenario, the core issue is the same. He did not choose her for who she is, he chose her for who he believes he can turn her into. And this is manipulation at its finest.
Boom. And that is another reason why it is all of them. That is another reason why it cannot not be all of them. Because this is coming from a biological level, right? Your actual biology, people don't understand that your actual biology, that thing that is manifesting on a microscopic level, so that thing that is manifesting on a life size level, your human body, everything about you, came from your microscopic genes. Everything is manifested by your genes. You didn't take your eyes from space. You didn't take your need for your need for food from space. You didn't take your psychology from space, right? You didn't do all of that. Everything comes from genes. Every single part of you, your hair, your teeth, your nose hairs. Every single part of that came from your genes. And your genes are so intelligent, so that they even made space for you to even learn from the environment in order for you to what? Again, the only reason for anything that happens on a biological level is to better your survival. It makes space for you to be able to learn from your environment in order to optimize your environment. It gives you the ability to not only learn from the environment, but also to respond to it in order to optimize your environment. So that you can optimize your survival. So why would it make for you a partner that kills you, that is murderous? This is so much level of biological abomination. It's just insane that it has gone on for this long. This is impossible to have happened on a biological level, naturally. It is impossible to have happened naturally. It is impossible to have happened naturally. This is why it is impossible for these males to be human. Because this dynamic, your biology cannot create for you something that kills you. It cannot do that. It does not have the capacity because its only mandate, it's your biology's only mandate is to keep you alive. So why would it make for you partners to murder you, to kill you, to rape you, to exploit you, to sell you, to enslave you? Why would it do that? Look at how your organ systems work. Every single one of them. One, they are doing two things that you don't know, that you don't even know. They operate entirely autonomously. Every single organ system operates entirely autonomously. That means you don't need input from any individual of your species. Autonomously. They all operate autonomously. Why would your reproduction be different? Your reproduction is supposed to also be autonomous, which means you're not supposed to need a sperm. And the second thing that it's doing is it's protecting you from the consequences of the biological processes it is going through. The electricity in your body, the gas that you're having to inhale and exhale. Yeah? The stomach acids that's breaking down the food. When you hear of someone being thrown acid on, what you see is that they're burned. How come your stomach isn't burned? Your biology, and there's your kidney. There's so many things happening on a biological level but you feel none of that because it is protecting you from the consequences of its own processes, of its own biological reaction. How come your reproduction doesn't do that? And it just so happens that reproduction, that is the only place it intersects with these males. Why? And in the new plan that I have of what parthenogenesis is, you would not have any sufferings from periods. You would not have any sufferings from the pregnancies. You would not even have, when you go to push out a baby, you will see how so magnanimously easy it is. You will think you were at the Ritz-Carlton with how easy it would have been to push out that baby. The baby would grow slower. So you would feel like you're not even pregnant. You would not even be shooting out like 500 pounds because your body will have mitigated the growth of the baby so it's not so sudden. And when you deliver the baby, your body's gonna snap right back. Exactly like your rectum does when you take a dump. Did you understand that is the same process? Do you understand that is the same thing? Because it would have been mitigated. You would not need to heal. You would not need a year to heal. You would not need 6 weeks to heal. You will be up and running, and the child will grow faster so that you spend less time mothering them. These are all the little ways to mitigate your reproduction that the males took away from us. These are all the ways that would have made reproduction so immaculately easy you would want to do it. So that the birth rate would never think about dropping because you want to do it. Because why wouldn't you want to do it? Why wouldn't you want to have babies when there is no cost and it's all gain? Why would you not want to have a baby? Exactly like eating. There is no cost or gain. Exactly like eating. And exactly like shitting. Even the worst part of the human biology, taking a shit that we all hate, there's no cost or gain. There is no cost to it. And it's only when you don't do it that there is a cost. This is what they stole from us. I don't know about you, but I'm pissed. Every time I think of it, I am pissed to him. I'm pissed.
When a man chooses a woman with the intention of reshaping her personality, her lifestyle, her politics, her appearance, he's not looking for a partner. He is looking to control.
This is how I became the most productive version of myself. Before, I used to scramble through meetings,
There is an epidemic of conservative men trying to bait and switch strong progressive women into being with them. And I know I'm not the first person to talk about this, but I'm just going to share with you
lifestyle, her politics, her appearance. He's not looking for a partner. He is looking to control.
Okay, a male cannot seek a partner because it is a parasite. When a parasite gets a hold of you, it is not a democracy. It is a what? A theocracy. It is going to be in charge of you until you get rid of it. This is exactly where their control is coming from. This is exactly why they keep wanting to enslave you. This is exactly why they think that you are supposed to just lie down and let them do whatever the heck they want with you. It is not a freaking democracy. It is a dictatorship. This is why your body, human biology, developed the skin barrier to protect us from those things. Because their only thing that they're after is to use you for their survival, because they have not developed, because it is far easier to use something else for their survival than to develop their own. It is far easier, but they're after the same survival game. But it is so much more easy to use another organism because you have been the stupid one to develop all of these things, all of these processes, right? To enable your survival. So they want what? They want to use that. They want to use you as the mumu to propagate themselves at your expense. And they want to do it until it kills you. Actually, the only reason the flu virus doesn't kill us is because us humans, we have enough intelligence to mitigate it.
There is an epidemic of conservative men trying to bait and switch strong progressive women into being with them. And I know I'm not the first person to talk about this, but I'm just going to share with you a conversation that I had today. So a couple nights ago, I was back on dating apps, and honestly, that's on me. I usually have them turned off, but I was curious. So I took a peek and I matched with a guy and we started talking. And in my bio, I have listed that I have very high standards for men these days. I say that I have worked really hard to build a life that I'm really happy with, and I'm really only interested in meeting men who are willing to meet me on my level. I also have in my bio, absolutely no MAGA. That's the exact wording. I'm very clear about it. So we start talking, and he asks me about these high standards of mine. And I said, well, I could share them all with you, but it might scare you off. And he said, send them to me. I can handle it. So I did. And there are probably 40 items on this list. One of them, by the way, is that I'm looking for a liberal or leftist guy. And some of these things on this list are things that I'm willing to be a little flexible on. Some of them are really hard limits, but they're all things that I'm looking for in my ideal man. So he responds and says, okay, I can agree with you on most of those things. And I said, okay, which things don't you agree with? And he said, oh, it's not that I don't agree. It's just that I have a couple questions on a couple things. And I said, ask your questions. Go ahead. Let's hear them. And he sent me his questions about a couple specific things on the list, and I answered them as fully as I could. And then he sends me this.
Let's pause and read that. I want to feel like someone's mom rather than their partner, you know? Yeah, I get it. What about like you being a traditional when they talk about being a traditional wife, they're actually talking about you being their host. Do you understand that? Them being your parasite, you being their host, and it is in such coded language. You think they're talking human language. You think they're talking human language. Listen, I have researched every possible culture that talks about tradition and culture and all of that stuff. Okay? I have researched all of them. And every single one of them, they take this word, traditional culture, they take it as the man being in charge. Not only just the man being in charge, but that the woman has zero power. The woman cannot feed herself. She can't feed kids unless she has a man, which means that your basic mandate of you needing energy, every organism needing energy to survive, which means you must be able to go and find food, sustenance, etc. And having reproduced, having followed another basic mandate, you need to feed your progeny. They have literally robbed us of that. They think that is unnatural, that you should not be able to feed or feed yourself or your kids unless you're attached to a man. These things are serious creatures. That is what he means. That you remove yourself as being a human and rely on him being your attachment, and him being your attachment, he gets to feed you. So that when you're no longer attached to him, you must just die. This is what they mean. This is what they mean by this. That is how they ensure that they can use you totally. This is pure evil. This is why I tell you these males are all pure evil. Every single one of them. When you hear coded language like culture, that's what they mean. When you hear tradition, that's what they mean. When you hear traditional wife, submissive, that is what they mean. You have no idea how deep these things are evil. They mean that you cannot feed yourself unless you are attached to a male. They mean that you should not exist unless you have a male attachment. And look at Afghanistan. They're doing this shit at 9 years old. Look at Afghanistan. They are attaching to females at 9 years old. And they mean for that shit to last till life. These things are creatures. They mean for that shit to last for life. They mean for you to be attached. They mean for them to be attached to you from 9 years old for the rest of your life. Ain't nothing biological about this. Ain't nothing natural about this. This is pure evil. This is why I tell them, this is why I tell you every single one of them is fucking evil. 9 years old. They're raping infants. They're attaching to infants at 0 days old. They would marry infants if you could let them. If they didn't need to feed the infant, they would attach to an infant. This is pure evil manifesting on a biological level. This is why you must know what is going on so that you understand there is a singular remedy for it. This is why you must understand what is going on. This is why you must understand their mentality so you know why they're doing all those things. And once you know why those things, your options are clear to you.
Surely you just. What on earth gave you the impression that I was into being a traditional wife? What about my bio? What about everything? Yes. What on earth? What about my view the impression? Surely you just. What on
If they didn't need if they didn't need a woman to also do this, if they didn't need an infant to also do this, they would attach to an infant and expect that shit to last a lifetime. These things are pure evil. Do not tell me about no fucking, where are the good ones? The fucking some men. Do not tell me about that. And you know, because they're not human,
And I answered,
their own evolution takes a different arc from the human evolution. Their own evolution takes a different arc from the human evolution. And when the first one of them appeared, they no doubt wanted to attach to a female until they realized, they no doubt wanted to attach and did attach to an infant female until they realized, oh, an adult female also has extra benefits like cleaning, laundry, cooking. I am 100,000% sure they did that because they do it today still. They do it today still. And they have to leave an infant alone because she cannot cook, she cannot clean, she cannot do any of that. These are creatures. Ain't nothing good about any of them. Ain't nothing good. It's impossible for that to be so.
surely you jest. What on earth gave you the impression that I was into being a traditional wife? What about my bio? What about everything on that list? What about just the way I've been talking to you, sir? Mind you, this man's bio says that he's the total package, which I was already heavily skeptical of, but I thought I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. Says that he cooks and cleans and takes care of the house and his cat. So it's taken him a whopping 15 minutes to reveal that's a total lie, and that he's looking for someone to do all these things for him. So I tell him that I have zero interest in being a 50s housewife or someone's bank maid. I said that I'm very independent. I own my own home. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of hobbies. I'm reiterating what I said in my bio at this point, but I said that I'm very ambitious, and that's not what I'm looking for. And I'm more than willing to do half the laundry and half the cleaning and half the cooking, but I want someone who's a true partner. And then this happens.
Okay,
If you want to get your name, phone number, and address off the internet, but want to handle the removals yourself, opt to.
before we go on, so
I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of.
She's saying all these things, and she's saying all of them because she clearly doesn't understand why men behave this way. She too she's following the brainwash, which is they're human. They're human because as a human, which she sees them as human, why wouldn't you want to share your life with another human? Because if you understand these things to the level that I get it, ain't no way you want to be around them. You don't even want to look at them. You don't even want to think about them. Much less you want to do laundry. You want to do half laundry. You want to live with one. No. You wouldn't even want to look at one.
Heavily skeptical of, but I thought I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. Says that he cooks and cleans and takes care of the house things for, and that's not what I'm looking for. And then he stopped responding. And then this happened. Half the laundry and half the cleaning and half the cooking, but I want someone who's a true partner. And then this happens.
I have much higher aspirations for my life, so would you help with the yard work, shoveling snow, mowing, the lawn raking leaves? Why would you sit inside? I feel like I'm reading his third grade level language here. Who said I would? I do all my own yard work now, so obviously I'd be willing to help out with all that. When I said 50-50 partners in the household, I meant in all things. You cannot do 50-50 with males. You cannot do 50-50 with males, okay? Because you are going to be taking half his sperm to make a baby, which you're going to 100% carry. You're going to have cost with that pregnancy. And he is not going to have any cost with that pregnancy. His only cost, actually, his only experience of pregnancy would be ejaculating which is a pleasurable thing. He has zero cost to this experience of having a child. He has zero cost, and you carry all of it, and they are numerous. That is why you cannot do 50-50 with males. You are already starting off way back behind the line. It is unrealistic. And of course, they made that think. They made you think that this is normal. They made you think that this is normal. But it's not even that, too. It's not even that. Even before the baby, even before the actual pregnancy, you are giving him sex. No, ladies. Sex with males is not part of your design. When you have sex, he is benefiting. Ain't no way you can tell me that you're benefiting from sex. That would be enough for you to compensate you from what he's taking from you. No way. I don't care how many billions of women you think you're telling me, oh, they have pleasure from sex. I do not care. I do not care. Ain't no way you're getting from sex what he is getting. You are not getting that sex every goddamn day. You're not going to want it every goddamn day because it is not part of your biology to do so. He wants it literally every goddamn day. And the only reason it is only every goddamn day is because he cannot get it every 11 seconds like he wants. If he could get it every 11 seconds, that is what he would do. He would tie you to a fucking bed. That's what they're getting from that sex. He would tie you to a bed and do this to you every 11 seconds. If not also for the fact that he needs to eat. He needs his laundry done. He needs the cleaning done. There's no way you're benefiting from that behavior the way they are. Do you understand? They are literally telling us that they are suicidal without sex. They are suicidal without sex. Are you suicidal without sex? Are you? Are you suicidal without sex? Tell me, what woman has ever come online and told you I'm suicidal without sex? Zero. Literally zero. This is one of the things that I pay attention to, that I'm sure nobody else is paying attention to. Women complain, I haven't gotten sex all the time. But not one of them has ever said, I'm thinking of killing myself because I have no sex. Not one of them. And they will swear to you sex is a normal part of you. They will swear to you that if you're not having sex, something is wrong with you. Well, if something is wrong with you, why aren't you suicidal like that? If something is wrong with you, why aren't you shaking? Why don't you have the shakes? Why isn't your nose running? Why don't you need to be hospitalized? If something is wrong with you without sex, why aren't we burying you? Why? Tell me why. You know, so they've only lied to us. There's everything about them. Every single thing has been a lie. And of course, they have to lie about everything because their origin. Because you're not even supposed to have a second gender. You don't even have a second gender. You have a second species. So she's already starting way behind the 8 ball. What 50-50? What 50-50? Plus, that 50-50 that he's talking about, he's going to be eating 90% of the food. What 50-50? The only way a man can make up for the shit he's taking from you is to pile you on a bunch of money and not talk to you ever. That is the compensation for them existing in our species. That is a 50-50. That is when it becomes 50-50. That's when that shit is actually 50-50. Fuck out of here.
And then he stopped responding, which was a little disappointing. I was kind of interested to see how much farther down his throat he could stick his own foot, but I was disgusted by this. This isn't the only time I've had a guy like this try to dupe me into being with him, and I've gotten faster and faster at sniffing them out pretty darn quickly. But I just never cease to be amazed that these men think, what, we're going to fall for them and give up all of our...
Exactly. This is one of the things that made me realize that this dynamic is impossible to have happened naturally. And that these males have to have been a different species, because if it didn't occur naturally, it would only have been forced. And who can force that is another species. Yeah? It was because something so tiny, because right now she is operating on the mentality that this guy is human. Yeah? And she's saying even that little, compared to what I know, even that little that seems human, she's found that so offensive that it's a non-starter. So offensive that it is a non-starter. Why would you want to procreate like this? Why would the tool made for you to survive, made to help you achieve the singular mandate of survival, be designed like this? If you are this intelligent to know that even this little that you know is a non-starter, why would your genius biology that designs your organ systems to operate 24/7 non-stop, why would that genius design this shittiness for you? If she thinks what the little that she knows is too offensive to even work, to even be close to working, to even be 1,000 miles away from working, to even be 1,000,000 miles away from working, why would your genius genes think this is the right one? That is how I know it is impossible for this to have evolved naturally. And if it didn't evolve naturally, that means he would have had to have been forced. And the only thing that can force something on you is another species, like an infectious organism. Yeah.
Goals and standards and ambitions to be with this person, to be with a man? What? I could live 1,000 lifetimes and not want to spend one of them cleaning up after.
Thank you. I said what? 1,000 miles away from being normal. She said 1,000 lifetimes. That means it would be impossible for the little that she knows to work. Why would your genius genes, who designed your organ systems, your heart, your liver, your lungs, your stomach, your digestive system, your brain, your nervous system, your immunity, your homeostasis system, why would that system think this is the way to go?
After a man? Absolutely not. I am incredibly smart. I am incredibly driven. I have so much going for me in my life. If the choice is between be with someone and cook and clean and do their laundry for them all the time and be on my own, there's no competition here. It's not even a choice. I am perfectly happy on my own. Why would I give that up to be your maid and your mother? Absolutely not. Get out. I don't know what these men are after. I don't know why there are so many of them and why they seem to be increasing in number. I don't know why they think they're...
Yeah. She's wondering why there's so many of them. Because all of them are the same organism. Because the way we have the same look, the reason we all have the same look, the same two eyes, the same two nostrils, the same nose, the same two lips, the same chin, the same two arms, the same two legs, is because there is a blueprint of our species. There is a blueprint of design. These males also have the same, but it isn't just our phenotype. It isn't just our phenotype that was designed. It is our behavior. It is our understanding. It is our our need for water. It is all of those things that are imprinted on a blueprint so that it can be duplicated over and over and over and over again. Just like them, they have the same thing. This is why at any time, even though they can pretend like they are the most gentlemanly, good people, good-less people ever, they are still the same shitty demons underneath all of that, which means they can reactivate it at any time. This is why it is increasing, and it's going to continue increasing. And the reason it is increasing is because in the beginning of our lifetimes, they had convinced us that they were one of us. And so us, we behave as our biology mandates, which is that we behave with our species on a friendly terms, on a trusting terms, on a peaceful terms, right? Until then until then they started showing that after years and years and years of learning, we started realizing something just is not right. And so from that, and also part of that homeostasis system, right? Is to learn from your environment and then behave accordingly to that environment. And part of that is always ongoing. And after decades and decades of the same exact behavior, we are starting to learn that something is wrong with these males. So to protect ourselves, because our singular mandate is survival, our singular, everlasting mandate is survival, we start to pull back our trust of them. So now, having before brainwashed us, we were just lying down for them. But now that we're waking up, we're no longer lying down for them anymore. So now they have to reactivate their own basal nature that they had almost started to forget. How did also started to forget it because your prey is now coming to you. Your prey is now coming to you. It is exactly like how lions have to hunt for their food every day. They have to hunt their prey, and so they never forget their instincts. If the lion somehow developed the ability to brainwash its prey to just walk into its mouth, it's not going to lose completely its instincts of hunting, right? But he wouldn't have to use it anymore. He wouldn't have to use it anymore. And so the prey would think, it would reinforce further to the prey that this, yeah, I am doing the right thing, because the lion is not preying on you, right? Because the thing that we know to us universally is that the thing that is good for us is something that doesn't hurt us. So the prey, it would reinforce to the prey that, oh, I am supposed to walk into the prey's mouth, until something instigates the prey to start to realize, no, maybe I'm not supposed to walk into the lion's mouth. Yeah. But then once that happens, once that spreads, right? Because again, other preys are going to be learning from the environment which the singular prey who realizes that is part of, they will learn from that singular prey that maybe we shouldn't walk into the lion's mouth, right? And so then the lion will also react to its environment and start to reactivate its pseudo-dormant instinct to prey. Do you get that? That's what's happening. That is why more of them are coming out. They were always this way. They were always exactly like the Afghanistan men. They are always exactly like all the Muslim males. Every single one of them are exactly like the Muslim males. They are not better to any level. Any level of goodness that you're experiencing, it is superficial. That is the social conditioning that they have received. That is the social conditioning they have received. And part of that social conditioning they have received was that women, having been brainwashed, women were willingly laying down for them. So they didn't have to show that side of them. So they can now convince themselves that they are actually good. No, you're not. No, you are not. No, they're not good. Not one of them is good. Not a single bit of them. This is their true nature, to the very, very basic self of them. This It's their nature.
Being so sneaky, they're not. It's actually quite easy to figure you out and what you're after.
This is why more of them are preparing. This is why more of them are appearing. And it's going to continue to get worse. And it is going to continue to get worse. It is going to continue to get so much worse because there are 4.1 billion of them. 4.1 billion of them. If not even more. If not more than that. It will get so much worse.
I don't know why you think we're going to fall for you, but it's just a really unsettling, pretty disturbing trend that I know many other people have noticed. And yeah, I don't really know what to do about it, but I just wanted to put my experience out there.
Ladies, don't ever date no man that tries to mold you into the type of perfect woman that he wants. Because at the end of the day, for one, you are not this man's child. And second of all, he met you a certain type of way. So why is it that after y'all together, he wants to nitpick and start changing certain things about you? And he's gonna hit you with the excuse and tell you, you know what, babe, I'm just trying to better your life. You know, this is the...
So this one is also using humanistic terms. This one is also using humanistic terms. But the thing is that all these males who keep using humanistic terms, I promise you, they know what they are. They know what they are. They know women are not the same species as them. And the reason they know that is because they know their own thought process, first of all. They know their own thought process. One of the things that I have gotten a habit of doing is watching males when they're around attractive females. Their predation is on 100% of the time. This thing never turns off. This thing never turns off. I hope to get to actually teaching you how to know when their predator behavior, when their predator eyes are hunting. Because I've learned how to pick it out. I have literally watched their eyes switch from being totally normal to the predator look. So these guys, they know how their own thought process is. They know that every time they see a single female, it is predatorial nonsense that runs through their mind. They know this, okay? They also know that when they look at the human corporeal, which is a design that is in all of us, when you see your own species, you like what you see. When you see something that is not your species, you don't like what you see. You otherize what you see. You what? You otherize what you see. Even when you see cats, even when you see dogs, even when you see, rats, etc. Yeah? When you see fishes, you otherize them as in, oh, that's not me. That's not what I look like. Something in your subconscious doesn't click with them. They have that too. Every organism has that. So it doesn't matter what they look like on the outside. Their mind doesn't jive with our phenotype, which is their phenotype is our phenotype. Okay, that is the human. The human phenotype is strictly female. Because for them to have this phenotype that is human, they hijacked a developing female. That is a human that was developing to be female. A human that was developing as its nature to be female. They hijacked that shit. That's what they call the sperm as a sex selector. No, it is a hijacker. It is not selecting sex. It is hijacking a female that was developing. The phenotype of this male that you're looking at, of every single male, is a female phenotype, which is what? The human skin. The clear, non-furred human skin. The clear, non-hairy human skin. The two eyes, the two nostrils, the lips, the walking tall, the bipedalism, the two arms, two legs. That is strictly female.
the best for you, that's bullshit. He just wants to control you. And on top of that, most of these men are insecure. And when they're insecure, what they do is they project the insecurities on you. So they're gonna make you feel less beautiful. And I don't mean to say it, and I don't want to be rude to my short kings out there, but a lot of short men that you date have the Napoleon complex. So they're always angry and they have to make up for what they don't have in height. They want to make up for being demanding, being aggressive. You ever met a short man that's always upset all the time? And it's because he's short and he just feels some type of insecurity. So he's gonna try to belittle you and make you feel like you're less than him. And it's only because he's insecure about him.
I'll be right back.
Himself. Don't ever deal with a man.
Gaza's population is on the brink of famine.
It's because they want you to talk about, like, I don't like BBLs, or to bash.
Of it.
I was just watching a video from this woman and she was talking about how it's so important for you to watch out for the kind of woman that your man is always going out of his way to bash, because that woman might secretly be his type. And I absolutely believe that. I think that the reason why men go out of their way to talk about, like, I don't like BBLs, or I don't like women with tattoos, or I don't like a lot of makeup and all that, it's not because they really don't like those things. It's because they want you to feel, when he's in the presence of a woman like that, oh, don't worry about her, she's not his type. So when his BBL, makeup wearing, long lashes coworker is working late with him, you'll be like, I'm not worried about that because I'm his type and not her. They want you to think that. They want you to feel like this person is not a threat. But usually it's those same kind of women that they do like. They try to find somebody that looks the opposite of you, so you won't be threatened when you see that kind of woman in their presence. If it's their baby mama, oh, I don't like that woman anymore, I can't stand her. If he goes out of his way to bash her, most of the time he does want that woman. A lot of them, they're not with their baby mama not because they don't want to, it's because she won't take him back. So they're gonna bash her because they're still mad at her. But all she gotta do is call and say, I want my family back, and girl, he's gone. Truthfully, a man doesn't have to be physically attracted to a woman to want to sleep with her. He can just like her body or how she's built. So don't assume because she doesn't look anything like you, or because she looks exactly like what he describes that he does not like, that he wouldn't still be with that woman if he had a chance.
Why can't men accept women just the way that they are without trying to change them? There's this wild and crazy, almost bizarre concept that I want you to try to understand, okay? Any man, whether you are married to him, whether he's in the kitchen right now, whether he is sitting on the other couch right now, whether he is sitting in your lap right now, any man that tries to change you is trying to hurt you. Bizarre, right? The problem is the right man is going to accept every single detail about you.
Okay. Again, just more humanistic terms. Just more humanistic terms. Okay? Because if he was trying to tell you the truth, he would have been telling you, stay away from every man. Because it's a fucking roach. Stay away from every man. Because it's a fucking demon. Stay away from every man. Because it is a parasite in human disguise. No, it's literally a biological parasite. That's what he would have been saying. That's what he would have been saying if he's trying to tell you the truth. That's why all these males will be saying. But of course, so when they actually are saying these things, they are still in their pretend state. They're still in their pretend state of pretending to be human because what? They brainwash themselves into actually behaving as though they're human. So they know, so these things are going on in them. These things that I described earlier, which is that they understand that they otherize us, and they see us as a predator. Because there's a difference between seeing us as a predator. There's a difference between seeing us as prey versus otherizing us. Right? One doesn't hurt you because you can otherize a cat without hurting the cat. Cats and dogs otherize each other without hurting each other. I mean, they fight, but they don't actually hurt each other. Yeah? But a cat would otherize a rat and hurt the rat. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. They have both of those things happening. They have both of those things happening. And here's the thing. If they were our species, neither one of those things would happen. Neither one of those things would happen.
All the way down to how long you keep your toenails. He is not going to care about those petty, minuscule details.
I mean, they will tell you that, oh no, we really are the same species. It's just like we kind of work differently. That's like saying your leg is your leg is the same species as your body. Well, your species is supposed to be attached to you. Do you get that? Right? Just whatever it is that your body is going to need, your body is going to need to enact its biology. It's supposed to be attached to your body outside of water, food, air. Whatever you're supposed to need to enact your biological process, which is reproduction in this case, is supposed to be attached to you. Because the only thing your body is supposed to require is food, water, and air. That's it. So for them to be outside of us, they cannot enact a biological process on us unless they are a parasite organism. Unless they are a parasite organism. Unless they are an infectious organism. Because other organisms outside of us, they are not enacting a biological process inside of us. Inside of us. A lion can prey on you, but it's not enacting a biological process inside of you. Those are predators. They have to be an infectious organism for being able to enact a biological process inside of us.
The wrong man, however, which could very well be the man that you're with right now, will try to change you, and change can also be interchanged with manipulate. He will manipulate.
And not a simulation. A man who genuinely loves a woman doesn't try to dim the parts of her he doesn't understand. He doesn't shame her for her creativity, for her style, her boldness, or her politics. Even if he doesn't share every interest, he respects them. Even if he doesn't love makeup, he appreciates that it makes her feel confident. Even if he's more traditional and she's more modern, quote unquote, he values her mind and not just her compliance. And of course, your partner can try to change things about you that would make you change for the better. But I think if you're going into a relationship with someone and there's something about them that is a deal breaker, so much so
there it goes again. There it goes again. Because you can hear that she's still thinking about them in humanistic terms. Because what the fuck would you want a partner like this? Why would you? Why would you? Would you imagine taking like COVID as a partner? Would you do that?
that you definitely would want that thing to be different about them, you should probably reconsider being with them in the first place. You should see someone as this is their final product, because if they never change, you are never going to be happy with them. And in turn, you're never going to have a happy and fulfilling relationship for anyone involved. If someone wants to change something about themselves, it has to be a genuine personal change and not something that they do to please you. And if that change that you're looking for never comes, everyone is going to be unhappy. There are some men who truly are not looking for a partner. They are looking for a project. They pursue women whose personalities, looks, or values they don't actually like because they believe that they can mold her into the ideal version. This creates relationships that's filled with criticism, insecurity, and emotional harm, especially for women whose identities become casualties of someone else's control. But as women, we deserve to be with someone who will fully accept us and not men who see us as raw materials to be reshaped.
Yeah,
Acceptance is love.
This is what concerns me. Okay, she's a great creator, but she's still thinking of males as part of the human species. And inherent in that behavior, exactly as it was designed, because this scenario was not supposed to exist of another species, being in another species, right? That is why it is a safe bet to have that design, right? She's giving them the benefit of doubt that they can be corrected of correction. They can be corrected. You can simply avoid them, and everything will be fine. You can simply reorient how you think of dating, but continue to date them. That would be like, COVID does this, HIV does that, malaria virus does this. So let's just see how we're going to, maneuver here and maneuver there when the virus does this, and then we can just, choose the best virus. This is utter nonsense. This is utter nonsense. And the reason that you need to understand why these males are thinking like they do, right, is so that you understand that what the remedy needs to be. Because what she's saying here could never be the right remedy. What she's saying could never be the right remedy. There is not any amount of years that can go by that you would get a 100% correction rate using this strategy. There is not even any amount of years that can go by that you can get 50% success on this strategy that she's talking about, which is, maneuver this and maneuver that, and, research, their behaviors and choose the right males and all of that, because you're getting the problem wrong from the very root cause. Which means, let's fast forward 1,000 years from now, 12,000 years from now, we're still going to have this exact problem. We would not have fixed it. We're still going to have this problem that she is trying to fix. This is the problem with not understanding what the root cause is. And the root cause, again, is what? These males and human. These males are not human. And because they're not human, they do not have the human behavior inside of them. Actually, it's even worse than that, because they're not human. The human behavior that would impede their ability to prey on us were erased. Do you understand that? Their ability, anything that could impede their ability to prey on us, were overwritten by their own nonsense genes. Because there is such a thing as a Turner syndrome female. And Turner syndrome females, they 100% behave like normal females. They do not have this predatory ability. So this predation thing comes 100% from their genes. Their genes overwrote that part of us that part of them that would relate to us as their kin, and made them relate to us as their food, as their prey. Food is a simplified method to help you it's a simplified description to help you understand it better, because it is actually so much more complicated than that. Yeah. So that part of them, that nonsense Y chromosome, and its genes on it. It's not the chromosome that did it. It is the genes on it. The genes on it. Okay? It overrode that part of them that would make them relate to us as their species. Because that is the only way it can succeed in its mandate. It can't succeed in its mandate if it thinks we are kin. It would have this thing where it would now want to prey on us, which would make it a failure as an organism. Do you understand that? Exactly like we do not want to prey on other females because we see ourselves in them, because they are our kin. Every female is your kin. So it has to overwrite that. But it is a complex thing. So it had to override it in multiple ways. So it is critical that you understand why these things are happening. It is 100% impossible for you to prey on your own species, because that would be like self-flagellating. That would be like self-flagellating. It is 100% impossible to prey on your own species, because that would be like self-flagellating. Do we understand what self-flagellating is? It means beating yourself, basically. This is why it was critical to review this. They are so close. They're understanding what these males are doing on a macro level, but they're not understanding why it is happening. And that is because of the micro level, which is where the genes are, which is what the genes are operating at. On the micro level. On the micro level, because it is actually the genes that design every single bit of what you see on a macro scale. They design every single bit of every organism. So you have to understand what is going on the micro scale to understand how that behavior is being produced on a macro scale. And once you get what is going on, all these things that she's saying about, choosing males and all that will be zero. There will be zero, nil desire to choose males. Zero, nil, zilch level to choose males. This is why her solution is wrong, because she doesn't understand the micro scale of this. That's it for today. So let me repeat, okay? After going through this video, you have to understand that there is only one solution. One solution and one solution only. In order for us to be free of all of this, in order for us to not have to fast forward 1,000 years, 10 years, 20 years, and still be dealing with this, we have to come together and defeat this enemy once and for all. We thought that they were human, and so it just felt like this was how it could ever only be. And now we're discovering that they cannot possibly be human. And let me reiterate that. Okay? It is impossible that they are human. It is impossible to a scale of trillions that they are human. Do you understand that? It is impossible to a scale of trillions that they are human. The level of impossibility is so high. It's just, there is no words to explain it. There are no words to explain it, how impossible it is for them to be human. Which means there is only one gender of the human species. And that gender still has the ability to procreate, because procreating is an essential part of every organism, which means you must have inherent in you the ability to procreate, which means sex, reproduction by sex is not your default way to reproduce. Cannot be, by a scale of millions, your default way to reproduce. Cannot be. Impossible to be so. Your default way to procreate, which means the only reason you've only experienced sexual reproduction through sex, is because the males somehow have affected it. They have tampered with it. They have blocked it. Which means we can free ourselves from this. Which means the idea that we need to manage this is bullshit. The idea that we need to find the right male and research them, and no, we need to send these motherfuckers back to whence they came. That's the only acceptable solution. That is the only solution that will solve this. They need to be sent fucking packing back to the hell they crawled out of. That is the only solution that will work. If you want to stop talking about this 10 years from now, if you want to have a world where you don't have to do all of these things and educate other women and research men and manipulate and maneuver dating and be worried about being beheaded and being burned in the subway, there's one solution. Period. Point blank. So, what I'm telling you is that we have to band together to solve this problem. This problem must be solved on that very microscopic level that I just talked about. It must be solved from that microscopic level that I just talked about. There is a form on this page in the channel description that says, join us in order to defeat patriarchy once and for all. If you want to be free, if you're serious about being free, if you're serious about not having to deal with this again and again and again, if you are disgusted to your stomach, by the things that you have seen in your life existing in this sewage nonsense they call it society, join us so that we can stop this from happening permanently.